Okay, so we have trusting God in social situations. And the social situations are basically, he discusses, every person is necessarily in one of two situations. Either a person is isolated, feels like no one knows them, no one cares about them, and they're strangers in a foreign place. And yesterday we discussed the two cases. We talked about a ger, a convert. So it's such an important mitzvah to love a ger, love a convert. Because the word used for convert in Judaism is ger, which is a stranger. Feels like strange. A strange place. I don't know anyone, don't have any family. So there's a special mitzvah in the Torah to love a ger. You have to help a ger. Help a convert. He's strange. He doesn't feel he belongs. So that's the first case. The first case is a person who's a stranger. So a person moves to a different country. By the way, it's a very big kapara, very big atonement for a person to move from place to place. Because again, you got to start from scratch. No one knows me. No one cares about me. So it's a big kapara for a person. And that was the Hasidim. They would wander around place to place. The early Hasidim, because they felt that galut, exile, was a kapara. So it's exile is kapara for Jews in general. We're in exile. It's kapara for us.
What does kapara mean?
Kapara means atonement, just like Yom Kippur. Kippur is atonement. So moving to a place which is strange, where no one knows you, is also kapara. That's kapara. But that happens in life, where a person loses their relatives, say, or they don't have any relatives, or their relatives move away, or they lose their relatives, and they're lonely. So a person needs trust in God, especially when they're lonely. Why? So a person should cling to Hashem and put his trust in Hashem. You should bear in mind that the soul is also a stranger in this world, and the inhabitants of the earth are strangers in it. Imagine. We don't really realize it. We're all strangers in this world. There's a beautiful Chavetz Chaim, very beautiful story, really beautiful story. It says Chavetz Chaim is famous world over, great rabbi in the world, and people go from all over to visit him. They lived in this small little hut, small house in Radin, and a man went from America to visit him. So he's expecting, the great rabbi would have a chauffeur, a butler, a maid, have a big house, mansion. He goes and he knocks on the door, a little hut. Opens the door, the old man opens the door. What if the old rabbi opened the door himself? He said, yes, what can I do for you? He said, I came to visit the Chavetz Chaim. He said, okay, the Chavetz Chaim, please come in. Goes in, one table, one chair. He got shocked. He said, Rabbi, he says, where's your furniture? The rabbi said, where's your furniture? He said, well, I'm a tourist. I'm just visiting. The rabbi said, I'm also a tourist. I'm also visiting. We have to realize in this world we're all visitors. We don't realize it. Suppose I need to build, I need to build, I need to build. So a person says, I'm a stranger in this place. No one knows me. No one cares about me. A person's going to realize everyone in this world is strangers. That's a very hard concept, right? We're all strangers. We're just visiting. This world is just a world, a temporary world. This people think is permanent, but it's not. There's no such thing as a permanent world. This is not permanent for anyone, not a single person. Not even Eliyahu Navi is still around. He's not in this world. He comes and goes. He doesn't live in this world. It's not his main domain. His main domain is the world above. This world is temporary. It's illusionary. Whereas Shlomo HaMelech says, Hevel havalim amar kohelet, hevel havalim akol havel, everything is vanity, 7 times vanity. And the only thing we can do in this world is take as many mitzvot, as many good deeds as we can. Everything else is all vanity, illusionary. So you look outside, beautiful blue skies, the wind, the sun, gorgeous. Yeah, well, you know what? Temporary. It's gorgeous, but temporary gorgeous. You can't take it with us. We can't take anything over here with us. And we see this. Tragic. I see people. The wealthiest people, they go to the old age home. 2 suitcases. All their wealth comes down, condensed into 2 suitcases. Their beautiful houses and the cars and the airplanes, you can't take it with you. Condensed into 2 suitcases. So that's what God is telling us. Hashem is telling us this world is temporary. So a person who feels, I'm a stranger in a foreign place, okay, don't get too excited. Everyone's strangers in a foreign place. All of us. The Gemara says that a person is born against their will and dies against their will. Amazing. That's an amazing concept. What does that mean? The soul does not want to come into this world. We've got to realize. The person does not realize. We don't realize that we didn't want to come into this world. The person is born against their will. We are pushed. The soul is pushed into this body. And that's why children are born crying. Who wants to be in this world? The world of limitations. This is the world of limitations. The world of simsum. we're pushed into a little body. Our soul, which is so big, we can't even understand how big a soul is. The soul is infinite in a sense because it's part of Hashem. This little soul is shoveled into a little body like this. So it crowded packed into this body. And what happens is when you put a person into a small cell, gets used to the small cell. He feels comfortable in a small cell. And afterwards, the person is so comfortable in his body, we don't want to leave the body. So Hashem makes the body uncomfortable. Makes the soul uncomfortable in his body. The person gets sick, loses their teeth, loses their this, until the person says, I don't like this body anymore, I want to leave. So Hashem says, okay, now's the time to leave. Okay. Once you get used to the idea over here. That's how the phases, we go through these phases. We're born against our will, we die against our will. We're all strangers in this world. We don't realize we're strangers in this world. Even our relatives, even our friends. When a person gets to a certain age, they see all their friends passing away, they see all their relatives, it's terrible. So why? Hashem is reminding us, this world is not permanent. It's a temporary world. We don't realize it. So that's how Hashem gives us reminders constantly. This world is temporary. Say it again. This world is temporary, right? Temporary. It's very temporary. And however long a person lives, it's still temporary. We don't realize it. People don't realize it. It's temporary. And Shlomo Melech, who's the wisest man, sometimes too much wisdom is very dangerous, because the more wisdom a person has, people don't understand what they're saying. The guy's very smart, he says something very smart. People around him say, what did he say? I didn't get it. I don't understand it. So King Solomon wrote 3 books. And the 3 books he wrote were Proverbs. Now, Proverbs is probably the hardest one. I don't know. How do I know it's the hardest one? Because the Vilna Gaon was the smartest guy and wrote a commentary on it. So the Vilna Gaon thought you need a commentary. He needs a commentary to write a commentary on Mishlei. You can imagine how hard it is. It's impossible. Every line in Mishlei is like a whole book. His sayings were so deep, it's just so hard to understand. You need a Megillah on every single line of Mishlei. It's Proverbs. It's so hard. Shlomo Melech's Proverbs. Number 2, he wrote Kohelet, which is Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes, a very depressing book. Very, very depressing. It's extremely depressing. In fact, the rabbis did not want to include it in the Torah. They did not want to include it in the 24 books of Tanakh, because they said this book is very depressing and it doesn't gain anything. You don't gain anything from reading it. You just say, to heck with everything. And then Rabbi Akiva stood up and he said, no, it's a good book. Why? The ending is good. The last line in the book. The last line in the book is Sof Davar Kol Nishma. The end of the matter is to know Et Halei Mirah, fear God and keep His commandments. That's all there is in this world. Because we have to know our mission in this world. Everything in this world is vanity. The person buys the car. How long is it going to last? Gets in an accident, crash, this, that. It's vanity. And yet a person worries about the car. My God. Da, da, da. You know the joke, this famous joke. This is Rabbi Rieti's joke. I'm going to borrow it from him. He says, there's a very wealthy individual. He bought a brand new car. It's Maserati. He's driving his Maserati. And one day he opened the door to get out of his Maserati, and a car passed and knocked out the door. Smashed the door. Imagine you open your door and there's a car passing. His beautiful Maserati. My Maserati! Yay! Calls the police. Ambulance comes. Police. He said, my Maserati, he says, tell me. He looks at the guy, he says, where's your hand? Where's your arm? He said, God, my Rolex! He wasn't concerned about himself. He was concerned about his Maserati and his Rolex. That's what people are like. So Shlomo Melech says, Hevel Havalim, he says, vanity of vanities. It's all vanity. It's all vanity. It's unfortunate. We can't take all these baubles with us. They're worthless. They can't do anything for us, these baubles. And yet we pay a lot of attention to them, it's very hard. There's a Rabbi Elbaz, Reuven Elbaz, famous rabbi in Israel. He's a big Baal Musar. He made a lot of prisoners in Israel religious. He opened a whole yeshiva full of prisoners, can you imagine? A yeshiva of ex-cons. All the ex-cons came to him. He used to give very fiery musar. So he says, unfortunately, he says, look at people's priorities. You go to a person's bathroom, you see the taps are gold. Gold-plated taps people have in their bathrooms. The tiles, granite tiles. Beautiful bathroom. You see the guy's tefillin, cheap as pay can get. Where's people's priorities today? The taps in the bathroom are gold-plated, but the tefillin is cheap tefillin. May not even be kosher. So the guy asked him, he says, tell me, Rabbi, he says, can you tell me what my Olam Haba is going to be? Can you tell me a bit about my world to come? What's it going to be like, my world to come? He said, tell me, he says, how do you pray? So when I pray, he says, kaha kaha. And in Israel they say, kaha kaha. Comme ci, comme ça, in French, right? Comme ci, comme ça, a little bit here, a little bit there, not so, mediocre. He says, tell me, how do you say Birkat Hamazon? He says, mediocre. He says, tell me, how do you do mitzvot? He says, mediocre. He says, your Olam Haba is also going to be mediocre. The way we do mitzvot, that's the key. And the third book Shlomo Melech writes is Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. And Song of Songs is also very controversial because it's a love story. It's a very, very explicit, erotic love story. And it describes, I can't even talk about it. Rashi doesn't even discuss it. Rashi discusses it, he says, the whole thing's a parable, I'm not going to explain it. Pshat, there's no pshat. You can't explain pshat of Shir HaShirim, there's no pshat. It's all deep stuff. We're describing our relationship with God. It's a love story between man and God. Song of Songs, a love story between man and God. Anyway, let's go back. Shlomo Melech says, Tov Shem Shem Tov. A good name is better than good oil. Now we have to say, we're not talking about oil from the ground. We're talking about perfume. In those days, they would take oil. If you read in Megillat Esther, you'll see they would dunk the women. It says 6 months b'shem and hamor, b'shisha chodashim besamim, of tamrukei nashim. So 6 months they would put a woman in this oil of myrrh oil, and they put the woman also into besamim. 6 months, they pickle her. The woman will be pickled. To go into Hashvarosh's presence, you have to be pickled in perfume. So 6 months in oil and 6 months in perfume. When he came out of there, boy, he must be born. Oh gosh, can't even imagine what it was like. Imagine. These guys knew how to enjoy life. We don't know how to enjoy life. We think we do. We're Western civilization. If you have a party for a day, you're knocked out. Oh, they have parties for 180 days. We can't imagine what it's like. Anyway, so what is good oil? Good oil is perfume. How far can you smell someone's perfume? Maybe the guy walks in. Oh, I don't want to breathe now. I can see a lot of perfume. So you get a lot of perfume. Perfume in a room, you get a lot of perfume. But you go outside the room, you don't smell anything. He says, Tov Shem, Shem and Tov. He says, a person's good name travels more than perfume. The value of a good name is the key we have to focus on, is our good name. What is our reputation? A person's reputation travels around the world. We don't really realize it. A person's reputation. Is that a good person? Yes. No, I don't know. But it's traveled more than perfume. So that's what we have to focus on. And then he says something very strange. He says, better is the day of death than the day of birth. Oh, that's wild. That's wild. That takes a lot of understanding. Why is the day of death better than the day of birth? So you ask anyone, when do you celebrate? When the child is born or the child dies? The child's born. What do you mean? Talking about. So he says no. He says the day of birth is a day where you don't uncertainty. We don't know what that person is going to do in their life. So it's uncertainty. Why are we celebrating? We don't know. It's going to be good, bad. What is he going to do with his life? We have no idea what's going to happen. Child is born. We don't know what the child's going to do. It's potential. You celebrate potential. We don't know what the person's going to do. Only the day of death, the person we know whether the person's good or bad. So a person's a tzaddik when he dies. We should rejoice. The guy was righteous in his lifetime. That's a rejoicing. That's tremendous rejoicing. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, if it wasn't for death, no one would achieve anything in their lives. If we knew our lives were immortal, we wouldn't do anything. We'd procrastinate, right? How long did it take Noah to build the ark? Approximately 200 years, right? He started when he was 300 and he finished when he was 500 something. Imagine, why did it take him so long to build an ark? Think about it. Because he didn't have to do it today. He's going to live to 1,000. He doesn't care. Another day goes by. Okay, big deal. I got plenty of time. Today, if I postpone building the ark for 200 years, I won't be around. Today we have no chance. What does the Torah say over there? Rak olayom. It says his thoughts of person was evil all day. They had no time limits. They didn't have anything to focus on. Imagine. What does it say? Idle hands. Devil's workshop. Sitting idle all the time. So that's why. So anyway, so we're going back to the point. The point is, we're talking about bitachon, trust in God, in two social frameworks. And the first framework we're talking about is loneliness. Person's lonely. I feel like I'm a stranger. I moved to a different I moved to a different country. I'm a stranger. No one knows me. No one cares about me. No one cares if I exist. Doesn't exist. The person lost their relatives. They don't have any friends. They're strangers. He says, don't worry. Have bitachon. Trust in God. Because the truth is, we're all strangers in this world. Something we forget. We're all strangers in this world. Our souls are put here against our will. Okay, we're strangers in this world. So don't be too worried. Person's going to know. Our best friend is Hashem. Hashem is our best friend. So he says every person is necessarily in two situations. Either a person is isolated, a stranger, or he lives with his relatives. If he is a stranger, he should, however, when he feels lonely, cling to God. And in his condition as a stranger, put his trust in God. So he said this is the condition of a convert. A convert, in a sense, is a stranger, and that's why there's a mitzvah to love a convert, to help a convert. To help them because they feel like they're strange. That's what convert means. A ger in Hebrew is a stranger. So a stranger, we have to help the stranger. So we have to also bear in mind, so a person should take some comfort and say, listen, everyone in this world is strangers. Because everyone's soul is against their will over here in this world. We're all strangers. All the inhabitants of the world are strangers. And the Torah says that. You are strangers and sojourners with me. Vayikra. So therefore he reflects, a person should reflect. A person who has relatives will, in a short while, be left a solitary stranger as well. Neither relative nor child will help him or stand by him. Eventually, everything passes.
If everyone's soul is against the world, then maybe we're not giving such a gift that we're having so many children. It's against their will.
Yes, you're right. We're bringing children against their will. That's why children, when they're born, they cry. On the other hand, it's their tikkun. So it's good for them in a sense. It's very important to bring children into the world. People don't realize how important it is. That's why the world is taking such a long time to fix itself. The less children we have, the longer time it's going to take. So
we really have to understand that we're giving them a hardship.
we're giving them, 100%. It's a tremendous responsibility to have children. That's why people don't want children today. But the fact is that without that responsibility, they have no ability to fix themselves. The tikkun is waiting. The soul's tikkun is waiting to come into this world, and the guy says, I don't want to have a kid. So the kid says, the soul up there is saying, I don't want to come into this world, but I need a tikkun. So sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. That's your tikkun. I don't want to go you tell the guy goes to work. He doesn't want to go to work. Why do you have to go to work? I don't want to go to work. You're pushed out the door every morning. Go to work. But I don't want to go to work, but I have to go to work. What can I do? So that's the same thing with the soul. I don't want to be born, but I have to be born, because I know it's my tikkun. So my tikkun is waiting now. Now the person says, I don't have a child. So the soul up there is waiting. It's terrible. The soul is waiting. It's like you're on the skydiver. You're right. You're waiting. You're by the door of the airplane, and eventually they push you out. They actually push the guy out. If he doesn't go, they push him out. He has to go. If you're in the army there and you don't jump, they push you out. They don't care. They're going to push you out. Same thing with the soul. The trouble is now there's no place to land. He's going to come in a body somewhere.
And where's the source of that?
Of what? Shlomo Melech says in Proverbs, V'yom ha'mavet v'yom vado. He says the day of death is better than the day of birth. So from there, and that's also machloket between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. It's Gemara and Eruvin. I think it's Daf Yud Zayin. Is it good for a person to be born? Not good for a person to be born. How many years did the Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel argue about that? I can't remember. Many years they argued about this. Eventually, the halacha is like Beit Shammai. It's not good for a person to be born. But now that we're born, search your deeds. Because the odds are weighted against us. It's hard to keep all the mitzvot. It's hard to do the Torah. It's very hard. It's very hard to be. Listen, last night I tried to learn Torah. It's very hard to get even a few words in. I mean, the Yitzhak is so strong. It's a battle. Every word is like a battle. If you don't have a fixed schedule, if you don't have a framework, it's practically impossible. That's why it's very important to fix times to learn. What we're doing now, we're fixing times to learn. So shiur is a fixed time to learn. Plus that's commitment. Fixed time to learn. But if you go home and you say, I'm going to read a book by myself, all of a sudden you see there's 50,000 things to do in the world. I need this, I need that. Fix this in the house, fix that in the house. Da, 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 da. So, a person gets sidetracked very easily in this world. And that's what Shlomo Melech says. Don't get sidetracked. It's all vanity. Don't get sidetracked. It's all illusionary. Hevet havalim, he says. Everything we do in this world, unless we do it for the right motives, and that's the key. The key is to do it. The truth is a person can serve God every second of the day. Shulchan Aruch brings this down in the laws of eating food. So a person can serve God every second of the day by having the good motives. A person says, I'm eating because I need to be strong to serve God. I'm sleeping because I need to be strong to serve God. It's interesting because I was in Canada with my son-in-law. He's an interesting guy. And they have a lake over there and whatever. So he says, now I'm on vacation. And he takes his vacation very seriously. And he has to do this, he has to do this. So I couldn't understand what he's talking about. So he said, listen, he says, I'm serving God by being on vacation. This is why. Because I'm freshening my mind to go back to yeshiva. So I'm serving God by being on vacation. And that's a very good, important idea. Just like a person can serve God by going to sleep. If his intention is, I'm going to sleep to get up to be stronger to serve Hashem. Just like a person can serve God by eating. So a person says, I'm eating in order to serve Hashem. So too, a person on vacation can also serve Hashem. How? By freshening themselves up to their mind to be fresh to go back and learn. So that's a very important point. So a person can be serving God 24 hours a day. That's what our thought should be. The Shulchan Aruch brings that down, laws of eating food. So a person should have in mind, I'm not eating for pleasure, I'm eating for serving God. I'm eating to be strong to serve Hashem, and that's important. This way a person can serve Hashem 24 hours a day. So a person shouldn't get worried. I'm alone in this world, what am I going to do? You know, I had a case, a very strange case. Had a guy moved into this community, he was like 25 years old. And he would cry. Rabbi, I'm an orphan. I lost my father when I was 8 years old. I said, you're not an orphan. He said, what? You're not an orphan. I said, why am I not? Because the orphan is only an orphan until he's able to look after himself. Once a person is self-sufficient, not an orphan anymore. Once I was an orphan. Everyone's an orphan. Anyone lost a parent is an orphan. He said, I'm not an orphan. All of a sudden his mind changed. I'm not an orphan. Because his mother drilled into him, you're an orphan, you're an orphan, you're an orphan, you poor fellow, you're an orphan. He's 25 years old, he's crying, he's an orphan. You're not an orphan. Okay, so he picked up his life. He got married and moved on. He has, 7 kids now, Baruch Hashem. But the person can drill himself. Lo Alman Yisrael, no Jews an orphan. Drill it into our heads, we're not orphans. Hashem is there. And even though in the world we're alone, because we're strangers in this world. We feel it, you go to the 9 nations, say, Jews, Israel, strangers. Hebrews, Me'ever HaYarden, you're from across the river. The only country in the world, we're the only people in the world who don't have a country really that we can call our own and get away with it. It's interesting. We're orphans in a sense. But Jews are not orphans. Why not? Lo Alman Yisrael. Jews are not orphans. Jews are not widows because we have God. So Hashem will look after us. Hashem. So it's important. Hashem should look after us. And so the person should not feel alone, even though they are alone. Some people like to be alone, by the way. Today it's different. Today is people like to be left alone in peace. Leave me alone. I don't need friendships. I don't need anything. But on the other hand, some people do. So a person's got to realize that on the one hand, it's a positive being alone. Why? They're free from heavy burden of maintaining relatives and fulfilling obligations to them. He said the person should regard this in a sense as a benefit. Because everything has a catch-22. Everything has a plus and a negative. So sometimes being with people is positive, but there's also a lot of negatives. Lashon hara and socialization, and then it takes away time, investments, and this and that. So a person alone, yeah, right, he's lonely. On the other hand, he's free from all the responsibilities. Hence, he says, the ascetics would leave their relatives at home for the mountains. They might devote themselves with free minds to the service of God. And this is also the prophets. Moshe Rabbeinu had to leave his wife. So in a sense, being a stranger, being alone, is good in terms of fulfilling relationships with God. It's very interesting. So we have 2 mitzvot. Ben Adam Makom, Ben Adam Chavro. Between man and God, between man and man. Right? So between man and God is easy when you have no interference from relatives and friends, because then I can focus on God. And when a person is with people, then he has to focus on people. When a person is alone, they should focus on God. So in a sense, he says, there's a benefit. A person's got to look at the positive side of being alone. Right? And that's what happened. Eliyahu Navi met Elisha. Elisha was his student. It says Elisha was plowing with 12 yokes of oxen. How many yokes of oxen? That's 12 pairs of oxen. And Eliyahu Navi came to him, he says, he put his cloak over him. Elisha says, let me go and kiss my father and mother goodbye. So I'm going to come with you and learn. So straight away he had to leave his family. Okay, now he brings a very interesting story. I'm not going to go into the story. But, okay, asceticism is not really part of Judaism. We have to be part of this world. Interesting. We don't build monasteries. We have yeshivot. But the yeshiva, we encourage our boys to get married. It's very important to be married. It says, purity of thought is only through marriage. That's why the high priest in Yom Kippur had to be married. He had to be married. So it says, he has to atone for himself and for his house. From where we learn out, he had to be married. A person's house is his wife. Al tikra bait ela ishto. Whenever it says a house, it's a person's house is his wife. Because a house without a wife is not a home. It's a house, but it's not a home. So a person has a home, that's a wife. A person comes home without a wife, there's no home. It's a house, but it's not a home. So it's very important to get married. Priority in Judaism has always been marriage. Today, unfortunately, it's falling apart, the system. We have too many singles. We need to get married. We need to push this idea more. And people are scared to get married. Responsibilities, commitments, this and that, the other. I don't know what's going on in people's minds, but it's very important to get married. So marriage is very important. So it's not good to be an ascetic. We don't push this system of leaving one's wife. The only one who did it and got away with it was Moshe, and the other one who did it was Ben Azai. Ben Azai was a student of Rabbi Akiva, and he said, I don't have any room in my heart for love of a woman. And the Shulchan Aruch says, no one today is Ben Azai. Cross it out your system. There's no such thing as Ben Azai today. There's no excuse. We don't accept any Ben Azai excuses. I love God, yeah, like heck, you like God. Get married. So anyway, so that's, in a sense, relatives, friends, they're distractions. They're distractions for our service of God. One who trusts in God, now we come to the other system. A person who has relatives. One who trusts in God and has a wife, relatives, friends, and enemies. It's impossible to not have enemies. It's impossible, unless you're one of the few special people who just get along with everyone. But it's impossible in one's life not to make some enemies. It's impossible. Unless you don't do anything. Sit back and don't do anything, just smile at everyone and don't talk to them. It's very hard not to have enemies. Right? Agree or not agree? 100%. I don't know. Maybe there's someone who doesn't have an enemy. I don't know. I think women have more enemies than men. Because women by nature sometimes don't get along. I don't know. That's what my perception. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Women value peace more than...
You think so? I don't know. Halavai. I wish you're right. Amen. You should be right. Yeah, obviously the different levels. I'm saying, but it's impossible to get along with everyone. It's impossible to get along with. Someone you don't get along with. I wouldn't say enemy, you hate them. Because you're not allowed to hate anyone. Some people try and avoid because they don't get along with them. Yeah, you don't get along. Every time you see them, you argue with them. And it's not. So you don't get along with someone. It's impossible to get along with everyone. There's one guy in the shul who does get along with everyone. Yeah, Jack Oziel. So I was talking to Jack. I told him there's a joke. The joke is the rabbi is talking to one of the elder members of his shul. And the guy told the rabbi, the rabbi says, I don't have a single enemy. I said, wow, that's amazing. Outlive them all. So Jack says, I didn't outlive them all because I never had one. That's amazing. So he's 95 years old. I don't have a single enemy. That's great. That's unusual. That's amazing. But that's part of life. Part of being in a society is. So even we don't have enemies. We do have enemies. The Arabs hate us. I'm just saying in general. I'm not saying it's impossible to be without enemies. Everyone has enemies. The enemies from within, enemies from without. Sometimes divorces, hatred in the families. Enemies. A person has enemies inside. That's one of the curses of the future generation. That's what it says. The Gemara in Sutta ends off. In the time of the Mashiach, it says, Oive ish anshe beito. The enemies of a person are inside of his house. We see a divorce rate, 50% divorce rates. How can a person say there's no enemies? My wife is my biggest enemy. My husband is my biggest enemy. 50% divorce rates. My ex-wife, my ex-husband. It's a terrible thing. We're living through it.
Why does that have to be part of the
Chutzpah yizkeh. So chutzpah yizkeh. It's tremendous chutzpah. So there's a couple of reasons why. There's no kavod. That's right, exactly. Today people don't respect each other. That's a fact. And so the question is why? And the answer is, listen, society, we're displaced. How many people live in the same place for generations with their parents and grandparents today? We've lost this concept of living together. We can't live together anymore.
Don't know how to.
Who can live with their mother-in-law? Who can live with their father-in-law? Who can live with their own parents anymore? You see the kids want to get out of the house as soon as possible. Now, because of the economy, they want to come back now. But it's only because of finances, not because they really want to be there. People don't want to be with their parents. It's interesting. It's weird. It's a total antithesis of what society was like just 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, maybe 100 years ago. The antithesis of society. We don't realize families have fallen apart. The father doesn't get along with his mother. The mother doesn't get along with the father. The children don't get along with the mother. They don't get along with the father. They don't get along with the grandparents. Everything's fallen apart. What happened to society? It's fallen apart. Definitely. So there's a couple of reasons for that. One reason is because we're all Gilgulim. We're all recycled. So we can't even find our right spouse for us. That's why the marriages break up. The bat zug is missing. The bat zug was fixed. And this guy had to come back. So you don't find them meshing. People don't mesh anymore. The children came back from another Gilgul, and this one, maybe it was a former parent. The former parent came back as the child, and the child, so now I'm your parent, why should I listen to you? You see the children manipulating their parents. He says, they're the parents. Maybe they are the parents. Maybe they're the grandparents. Who knows who they are? So there's a tremendous mix-up over here, huh?
Can we have a mixture of Gilgul?
What do you mean?
Or is it always just one soul?
You're right, it could be more than one.
It can be.
That's called the Ibur, multiple personalities. Yeah.
Really?
Ibur, it's called Ibur. It's called a pregnancy, when the soul is pregnant. There's more than one soul in the body. That's why sometimes a dibuk, which is worse. So anyway, so let's not go into that. Okay.
But you're saying the average person's soul comes from one soul?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. And I said multiple personalities. Normally a person doesn't have multiple personalities, so it's just...
But how can that be, just numerically speaking, if there are more and more people?
Because the soul keeps splitting. Since Adam Rishon was the only soul. Imagine, Adam Rishon was the only soul. Hashem had to take a bit of his soul to give it to Chava. So already the soul split. Then he had children, so the soul keeps splitting. And his soul eventually becomes 600,000 souls of Jews. We were all at Sinai, right? So there's 600,000 primary souls of Jews. And Moshe Rabbeinu's soul was the biggest. Bigger than all the souls. Hashem says, I'll destroy them, and you'll take over. His soul was bigger than all 600,000. Imagine. So he had the soul of Hevel. He was a Gilgul of Hevel. So he had a quarter, and they had 3/4, or whatever it was. He had a third of all the souls. They had 2/3 of them. He was bigger than them. Anyway, all our souls come from them. That's why it says our souls were at Sinai. All the Jews were at Sinai. Well, that's what it means. All our souls were at Sinai, because we were all part of the 600,000. Those 600,000 kept splitting. Keep splitting. And that's why it's so important to have children, because then we finish the tikkun. The souls have to come into this world to complete.
Are souls usually reincarnated within the same families? Like you said?
Usually, that's why Sephardim we name after the grandparents,
So,
even when they're alive. But eventually, sometimes you see it, and sometimes your parents see in the children, they see their parents. They see the uncles sometimes. Especially we see where do we learn this? Ramban says we learn from Yibum. What is Yibum?
when the wife,
That's where Rambam. If you look at the Torah, where do you feel Gilgul? Ramban on the laws of Yibum. He brings it out explicitly. Where the husband dies and she doesn't have any children. So the brother's got to marry his wife. It says to bring a name for the dead. So Ramban says right there, you see the soul of the dead is going to come back in his son. He has to come back in his son. It's not his son, his brother's son. But it says the name of the child will be the name of the dead. Why? So Ramban says that's the secret of Gilgul. Here we see it in the Torah.
the story of Ruth and Boaz, Rabbi, the twins that they had, parents, they were not named for. It worked differently with them, didn't it?
Well, number one, it wasn't Yibum. Because Yibum was only for the brother.
Just brother, not a relative.
Right.
Okay.
So it wasn't classic Yibum, but it was a good thing to do. To bring... and she was a ger as well, so it wasn't classic Yibum at all. Same thing, Yudah and Tamar is not classic Yibum.
They still do it today. I know a young woman several years ago, she told me she
Ashkenazim don't do Yibum, because they say you can't have the right thoughts for it. So you go to the Shishra.
was even a special,
But Sephardim, they do Yibum.
it was a special.
That's Chalitza, that's not Yibum. Chalitza is the opposite. Anyway, let's continue. Let's go to a different point. So anyway, so we're talking about a person's alone. They should find solace, the fact that we're all alone. We're all strangers in this world. Number two, a person who is with people. That's also a test. Don't think it's... this person also we need to trust in God. How to run our affairs with people. It's much harder sometimes. I'd rather be alone without people. What about you? And people can drive you crazy. So it's a catch-22. Being with people, being without people. It's a catch-22. Either way, a person needs bitachon. That's what we're talking about. So one who trusts in God and has a wife, relatives, friends, and enemies. Can't get away with it. Should trust that Hashem will save them. So now I'm going to support my family. That's also a person needs trust in God. So a person who's alone, on the one hand, he's lonely. On the other hand, doesn't have to do support. No support to anyone. So he has less burdens. On the other hand, a person with people around him has to support them. So again, he's trusting God. A person's got to deal faithfully with them in all their concerns. Instruct them in the methods that will further their welfare in religion and secular matters. And should do all this to serve God. It says that you should love your neighbor as yourself. So a person's got to raise their children properly. It's very hard to do. Unfortunately today we're living in a situation today where parents don't even tell their children anything. Children running around like lunatics. Parents don't want to say anything. Parents are scared to talk to their children. I don't know why. There's no discipline. Discipline is falling apart. Parents don't like to discipline their own children. It's terrible. And when the teachers call from school that I'm having problems with your kids, you're wrong. You're the problem. They turn on the teachers. That's a big problem today. And it's the hardest thing to do. You see children, some children are very well behaved, some children not. Now sometimes it's natural and sometimes it's just the parenting. A person needs to learn. It's a hard thing to be a parent. A person has to have parenting skills. It's a topic which we have to talk about. We talked about many, I think we had a whole series on it. It's on the internet. I have classes on parenting. It's so critical. Parenting is so critical today. So a person should do this to raise their children. And by doing that, it's interesting. Which mitzvah are they doing by having children? By raising their children. Love your friend as yourself. And that applies to relatives especially. You'll not hate your brother in your heart. And physically, that's your physical brother here, right? Explicit. You can't even hate your brother in your heart. So a person not allowed to hate their brother. So this really applies to any Jew. Not allowed to hate any Jew in your heart. But especially your brother. It's explicitly your brother. Person's motive should not be expectation of a reward for raising their children, nor anticipation of rewards for future deeds, nor should he act out of love to be honored or praised by people. The sole purpose should be to fulfill the Creator's commandment. The person says, I'm having kids because I want to have kids, because Hashem said to have kids. I'm going to raise my kids to serve God because that's the purpose of having kids. So this way, everything becomes a mitzvah. And Hashem will help a person to do the right thing. Women, they added in the prayer for the candles, right? There's all sorts of blessings for children and the families. They pray at the time of lighting candles. It's so important to pray for the family, pray for the husband, pray for the children. And that's one of the functions of wife, is to pray for his husband's success, pray for the success of the children. That's a woman's job. A woman's role in the house is to build a home. How do you build a home? A lot of it is through prayers. The prayers are very effective. And that's what the Rosh Hashanah, the secret of Rosh Hashanah. The secret of Rosh Hashanah is women's prayers. Why? Because what it's all about Sarah praying for a child. It's about Hannah. We learn all the laws of prayer from Hannah. She was a woman praying for a child. So it's praying for family. That's the secret. The secret of woman's power at home is her prayers for her family. That's very important. A woman should pray for her family. A man should also pray for his family. Pray for our children. Rav Toledano, very famous Sephardic rabbi from Morocco. He was in Israel. He was an old man already. I think he was in the 90s, 100s. He used to pray for 3 hours every tefillah. Say, what are you praying for, Rabbi? Pray for my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren. Pray that shall be Ovid Hashem. I want them all to be serving Hashem. So we say in the morning prayers, out, we and my children, Kulani Yodei Shemecha, we should all be knowing your name. All of us should know your name. Kulani Yodei Shemecha, Lomdei Toratcha Lishma, and be learning your Torah l'Shem Shemayim. That's a very powerful prayer. Why do we only pray for 3 generations? Because it says, Chut HaMishulash, a 3-braided thread will not break quickly. If you have 3 generations in a row, it says the Torah will always come back to their family. You find people doing Baal Teshuvas from where? Nowhere. What happened? How come all of a sudden the guy woke up? I want to be a Baal Teshuvah. What happened to that person? It's the merit of their forefathers. Because the Torah was in that family for 3 generations. It's not going to go away. It's going to come back to that family. That family is called a hotel for the Torah. And that the Torah always comes back to the hotel. Always comes back to this hotel. So it's a very important thing, and we have to pray for our children. And that doesn't matter how far away they are. When a person says, Hashivenu Avinu Toratzecha, bring us back, Hashem, to your Torah, a person should pray for all their generations. Bring back my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, all my future. Come back to your Torah. A person should say it's in the plural. Bring back all my relatives to the Torah. Bring back all my community to the Torah.
Aren't all Jews come from at some point 3 generations?
Yes, they do. They do. Unfortunately, a lot of people are just gone. I don't know. There's 3. I guess 3 generations and break 3 generations. You have 3 generations with Torah, and then you have 3 generations without Torah. In America, we're already 3 generations without Torah, at least. So I guess it's very hard. It gets harder and harder as time goes on. So it's very hard.
There are never 3 generations of Reform Jews that you go one way or the other.
I think there are 3. Maybe there's more than 3 by now. It's very hard. We're living in very hard times. But Bezrat Hashem, there's hope that if 3 generations really served Hashem properly, then it'll all come back. You see people coming back. It's I had a rabbi here from Israel. He says he's been all over the world. He said he's never seen so many Baal Tshuva in his life. Everywhere you go today, Baal Tshuva. Everywhere you go. Every country in the world is Baal Teshuvos. The most unlikely places. So there is. We have merits. The forefathers' merits are coming back. This is the end of days. We have to look around us. It's the end of days, and things are happening. We have to praise Hashem. When a person says Hashivenu Avinu Toratecha, we have to pray for other people. Bring us back to the Torah. All of us back. Us, our friends, our relatives, our communities. Everyone should come back. The truth is, a person cannot run away from Hashem. That's why we say the story of Yonah and Yom Kippur. You can run, but you can't hide. There's no way you can run. You can't run from Hashem. There's no escape from Hashem. Wherever a person is, Hashem will find them. The Royal Canadian Mounties, they have this saying. What do they say?
Always get our man.
We always what?
Always get our man.
Something like that. Huh?
They always get their man.
Always get the man, right. So Hashem, even better than the Mounties. Don't worry. Hashem can find a person, even in the fish. Even in the middle of the fish, Yonah prays to Hashem. Hashem hears him. There's no escape from God. So we have to wake up. We have to say, listen, there's no escape. There's only one way. There's only one path in this world. Mesilat Yesharim, the path of the just. That is to get closer to Hashem. We have to yearn to get closer to Hashem. And that's the secret of a successful year. The secret of a successful year. You want a successful Rosh Hashanah. And that is the secret, is to get closer to Hashem. Realize there's no other power in the world except Hashem. There's nothing else except for Hashem. En od milvado. En od milvado. There's nothing else except for Hashem. And so therefore a person is alone. You're alone, but Hashem is here. You're never alone. Malekul Arz Kivodo. His glory fills up the world. We have to realize Hashem's glory fills up the world. How can a person be alone? There's no things alone. And that's why David HaMelech was so special. Because even though he's in the valley of the shadow of death, Hashem is with him. He knows Hashem is with me in the valley of the shadow of death. Hashem is with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me in the presence of my adversaries. But I'm going to know this by heart. Say it over and over again. Hashem is with us. So if a person feels alone, don't worry, you're not alone. No such thing as alone. There's no lonely person. Number 2. If a person is with relatives, you better pray more. You need more help. I got to support my family. I got to help my relatives, my friends, my enemies. I got to deal with everyone. I need help. Hashem, help me to deal with the people. That's what Shlomo Melech said, right? What did Shlomo Melech ask for?
Bless you.
What did he say? What did Shlomo Melech ask for? Chachma. Give me Chachma to judge your people. How am I going to judge all these people? The Jews. Oh boy, I like dealing with Jews. It's so hard. This nation, Israel. So that's the reason why Hashem. I can't remember. I learned the Gemara. I can't remember which Gemara is. I think Baba Batra. The Gemara says, why did God choose the Jewish people? I think Reish Lakish says, because they're stiff-necked. They're tough. He needed a tough people to keep the Torah. He needed tough people to fight against the nations of the world, to be the role models of the world. It's not easy to be a role model. You're going to stand up and say, I'm right and you guys are wrong. And they say, no, you're wrong, we're right. He chose the Jews because they're tough. He said if it wasn't for the Torah, the Jews would conquer the world. People don't realize how tough the Jews are. The Jews single-handedly took on Rome. Single-handedly took on Rome and nearly beat them. They were tough. We're tough people. And so it's hard to deal. So Shlomo Melech says, I need wisdom to deal with these people. I can't. They're tough people. So that's what we have to pray to Hashem. We have relatives, we have friends, we need even more wisdom. Not less wisdom, we need more wisdom. How to raise my family, how to raise my kids. They're tough. Everyone has some kind of tough kid in the family. There's no such thing as everything's smooth sailing. We all have our tests and our trials in the family. Everyone has. There's no such thing. It's impossible to have a smooth sailing through And when you think everything's smooth sailing, that's when Hashem throws the curveball. Boom. Yeah, you think life's easy, right? Oh, I'm going to teach you. It says, Vayeshev Yaakov. It says, Yaakov wanted to sit down. He said, I had troubles. Oh, God, I had enough with Lavan. Had enough with, oh boy. Immediately they sold his son. As soon as he wanted to relax, Rashi says over there, this world is not for relaxing. This is not the world of relaxing. Relaxing is in the next world. Now it's not for relaxing. Now it's for troubles, and so the person should busy themselves all day. If we make our own troubles, which would be, what does that mean? I'm busy learning Torah, I get up early, wake up, go to sleep late, I'm trying to serve Hashem. Hashem says, oh, you have enough troubles, I'm going to leave you alone. The person says, hey, I'm relaxing, I'm on the beach. Oh, gosh, okay. And now you're going to get troubles. So that's what we learn from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu wanted to relax. Hashem says, no relaxing for you. Tzaddikim don't relax in this world. There's no relaxing for a tzaddik in this world. This world is for struggling. And the more trouble, and the more reward there is. The more trouble a person has in this world, the more reward is. So listen, what is all the trouble? I need the trouble for. The more trouble, the more reward. The person's going to realize that. The more trouble, the more reward. Says Rabbi Akiva, when he saw Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, when he was suffering, he started laughing. And the rabbi said, you're crazy, Akiva, you're mad. Your rabbi is dying and he's suffering. He said, all my life I worried about him. All my life I was worried about him. He said, why were you worried about him? He had it too easy. All my life I was worried about him. Maybe he's eating up all his reward in this world. Maybe Hashem's going to give him an Olam Haba. So, but now I see him suffering, I'm happy he's going to get Olam Haba. It's so weird. It's upside down. The whole world's upside down. When you see someone suffering, you're meant to be happy for them. I'm happy for you. So you're crazy? So yeah, because I see you're going to get Olam Haba. But everything's going well. You say, oh, you just bought a new car. I'm worried about you. What are you worried about? Worried maybe you're using up your reward in this world. I don't know, it's very hard. It's a very hard way of thinking. Rabbi Akiva was, what do you call it? Contrarian. If things are well, he's worried. If things are not well, he's happy. Very strange. So when he saw the destruction of the temple, he was now happy. And now I saw the destruction. Now we can look forward to rebuilding. Before the destruction, he's worried. It's going to be destroyed. There's a prediction it's going to be destroyed. You know, it's beautiful. This is my favorite, one of my favorite stories. I end off with this story. It's a beautiful, positive story. The chief rabbi of Israel, the first chief rabbi of Israel, Ashkenazi chief rabbi, was Rabbi Herzog. And he was in America in 1948, trying to raise funds for the Jewish state. So it was just before the Declaration of Israel, and the American Jews told him, stay here, Rabbi, don't go back. Don't go back, there's going to be a big war. All the nations, they're going to come in, all the Arab countries are going to invade Israel. That's it. He said, there's no more predictions of destruction. All the predictions of destructions came true. There's no more destruction of Israel. There's no more prediction. That's it. So therefore now we don't have to worry about destruction. There's not going to be destruction of Israel. But Bezrat Hashem, his words will come true. We'll see, we'll be witnesses that from now on everything will go up and not go down. Bezrat Hashem will have a coming year where everything will go. We talked about it on Shabbat. The idea of Ben Ish Chai says that there's three forms of blowing the shofar. The tekiah. So he says tekiah is happy, joy. It's a cry of exaltation. It's a smooth sound of exaltation. Joy. The Teruah and the Shvarim are very rough. The Shvarim is a sob, but even a sob, at least there's a break. A person sobs, break. But the wail is the worst. The Teruah is the worst. So the Teruah, but eventually we blow a tekiah at the end. And the halacha is the tekiah is going to be longer than what's inside. The tekiah is going to be longer than the Shvarim and the Teruah. So the joy should always be longer in a person's life. You have more joy than the troubles. That's what the shofar blast reminds us of. This world consists of both joy and consider bad things. There's no thing a person who doesn't lose a relative. No such thing. A person didn't lose a relative. A person didn't lose this, didn't lose that, didn't lose money. No such thing. Look around us. Everyone's suffering really. People don't have jobs. People lost their retirement funds. People lost this. There's no thing a person doesn't suffer. That's the Teruah and that's the Shvarim. But our lives, Bezrat Hashem, we've got to pray that the tekiah sound will be longer than the Shvarim and the Teruah. Okay, we'll stop here anyway, so Bezrat Hashem will hear the final tekiah of the Mashiach Bezrat Hashem soon. Next week, the 25th. You have any problems? Yeah, 11:30. Well, we have a class. Yeah, we will have class, believe it. The last class for Rosh Hashanah, so bring your friends.